Hey everyone, we're back after our slightly longer than usual break from our live streams.
Hey guys,
How y'all
How
doing?
how is everyone? Shadow and I were both on vacation, not together.
Unfortunately,
Hmm. Um, but yeah, we are back and we are ready to talk about a 100% the weirdest year um for the half-hour animated Emmy Awards that we've covered so far.
yeah, it's this is one heck of a show. We can say that right off the bat. Um, please let me know if the audio sounds good. Um, both Pi and myself. I recently got new internet, so the stream
Nice.
should not lag as much as it did like the last one or two times. Um, but yeah, let me know if the audio sounds good. Shadow a little
All
quiet, but
right.
I can turn myself up a little bit, I think.
Cool, cool. We've also enabled ultra low latency mode, so you guys can respond to us pretty fast, I think. Wow, that
Yep.
was awesome. All right, people are saying the audio sounds good. Hello, hello, everyone. Um, yeah, let's just let people pile in for a few minutes here. Um, yeah, did anyone in the chat go on any cool vacations lately? The weather has been hot in
Yeah.
Topeka. Like, ooh. So, no one's taking a shower right now, but I think it might be raining by one of us.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. That's
in a
probably
way,
it.
everyone is taking a shower. Uh, um, Thank you for the super chat, Hungry Shark Gaming. Hello, hello. You went to Florida a few weeks back. If that counts, yeah, nice. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, I can't even imagine what it was like in Florida now. Um,
Right.
it was hot. It was hot today, and it was hot this week.
Yeah, I gotta say, it was like when I was at the beach, it was really, really nice. It was hot one day and then it stormed the day after and then it was just cool the rest of the week. But now it's like unbearably hot every day. So that's
Oof.
unfortunate. But
Yep. Um, all right, Shadow, are you ready, my man?
oh man. This is yeah, I've been looking forward to this because the sheer absurdity of some of these nominees is like unbelievable. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So, 2010. What happened in 2010?
Nyan Cat.
Oh God.
It did. You're welcome.
Great, wonderful. Um, wow,
That's all I
97
remember.
degrees. Holy cow. Um, yeah, 2010 was the turn of a new decade. Smartphones were on the rise. Yeah. And according to the Emmys, anyway, there wasn't a lot of great things happening in half hour or more animation.
Apparently not.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently not.
Yeah. So, all right, 2010. Shadow, what were the nominees for the half hour or more animated Emmy in 2010?
I got you. All right. So, 2010, the five nominees are as follows. First up, we've got Alien Earths, a National Geographic documentary.
Ooh.
Emmy nominated. You can see it right there on the screenshot. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the Ricky Gervais Show with Knob at Night.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a thing. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
hmm Third, Prep and Landing, the
Yeah,
ABC special.
the yes, and the first one, if because there were
hmm
two follow-ups to this, but just to be clear, it's the first one.
Yep. And then we have South Park with episode 200 and 201, the banned episodes. I don't know if they're the only
Yeah.
ones, but they were banned.
Who's ready to talk about terrorism?
Yeah.
Yikes.
And then last but not least, as if you didn't already see it coming, The Simpsons with Once Upon a Time in Springfield. So those are the 5 nominees for the 2010 Emmy Awards, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight in that
Yes,
order.
yes. Yeah. So yeah, let's just start it up here. I guess before we jump in, I just want to remind everyone that down in the description there is a link to vote for yourself on which of these 4.5 animated things are the most deserving of the animated half-hour or more Emmy in 2010. There's also a link to our Discord server, which come check it out if you haven't yet.
Yeah, it's a good time. A lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. So shall we jump in to the just get this over with?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's
Okay.
do it. First up, Alien Earths, Nat Geo. You want to go over
Yeah.
the plot of this one? It's
People are
very
saying
engaging.
I'm a little too loud,
A
but
little too loud? Okay.
yeah. So be sure to mute me right before I talk here.
Will do.
Yeah, only take me down a little bit though, because you're just always quiet. So this is not a narrative program. This is a documentary about planets that exist far off in the universe that scientists can now kind of sort of imagine thanks to very, very faint information we've received thanks to telescopes and I think just theoretical things we know about the universe. It does not have a narrative. It doesn't follow anything. It is basically just they interview a few different scientists about a few different of these planets where they talk about things like the planet is so hot that there's smoke in the air and there's no solid surface on it, and the planet is out of alignment with the orbit, so it could go flying off into space at any moment, and various things like that. It without any sort of narrative, it basically just jumps. They talk about one really hot planet, one really cold planet, one this planet, one that planet, and the whole thing is a miserable slog that is only loosely animated. This somehow was nominated, despite the fact that at least 50% of this, I would guess, or it's just basically screenshots, and graphics, like infographics. Not screenshots, but like still images of galaxies. Uh, it's it's just bizarre. It's utterly bizarre. Shadow, what did you think of this?
It's a load of crap, is what it is. Also, I added a little filter that'll hopefully give my mic a little bit of gain. So let me know if it's too much, chat, and I'll try and adjust it. Anyways,
Check out those gains on Shadow Street.
yeah. So hopefully I'm a little louder. Hopefully not too loud. No, this was a load of crap. I fully stand by this when I say it. This did not deserve to be nominated in the slightest. No,
No.
no. This is an insult. It genuinely bothers me that this was even considered to be nominated for this category. I mean, like the most effort they put into these effects is like it's either something that can be rendered in After Effects really quickly with little effort, or they take a 3D model and then they just spin it or rotate it. And that's all the animation amounts to. That's it.
No, I completely agree. I mean, it does the job for a low, like, I guess a low quality documentary that's made to just be aired on the Nat Geo channel once or twice and then never seen again. Like it does what it's supposed to do, but it's not. The thing is too. Not only does it not feel super animated, but how can you possibly compare a documentary, an interview-based science documentary, with narrative episodes? How can you possibly compare it? If anyone wanted to see this nominated, I'm sure there are other categories this could have gone in. But the idea that this took a slot here, it really genuinely feels like someone made a mistake more than anything else. Because for this to have happened, National Geographic must have said, "Wow, we love the animation we did for this. Let's send it into the Emmys." And then those hundreds, thousands of Emmy voters must have looked at it along with a bunch of other things and said, "Yeah, no, this is better than so many other actual animated shows that better than whatever was airing on Cartoon Network, Clone Wars, Alien Force, Ben 10. There's Family Guy, American Dad, Cleveland well, I guess Cleveland Show wasn't around yet, but um all these other shows that you might like them or hate them, but it's like certainly they fit the qualifications for this category a lot more. And how cruel is it that in the already underloved category of animation, it gets swooped in by something that isn't, it's hardly animation.
I think it's preposterous. I really do.
Yeah.
Um, the thing
Well,
is,
people, but to put it into perspective, we couldn't find this anywhere online legally, and when we did find it, it was in low quality, and we couldn't even watch the whole thing, which ordinarily I would have been upset about. But considering this, I just, nothing in that other part we missed would have possibly saved this, or made this feel justified.
we skipped from part 3 to part 5, and we didn't notice anything. So,
Yeah.
So, as a little, I guess, insight,
Oh boy.
I studied astronomy in college quite a bit. So, like, I'm watching this from the perspective of someone who actually has studied a lot of this material and knows a lot about it. I actually ended up doing a project on the TRAPPIST-1 system for anyone listening who might know what that is, though I don't expect very many of you to. So that is very much in the vein of what this documentary was about, but this was also made like 7 years before that system was even discovered. There's a lot of things in here that are inaccurate that kind of take away from the fact that most documentaries, not all, but most, are meant to be factual in a lot of the ways it presents information. I mean, there's a bias, sure, but a lot of the things that they talk about are based on factual events or phenomena or things like that. And the fact that they couldn't even explain the science accurately is like, it's pretty bad. It's honestly just really bad, even from that perspective. I've seen many other Nat Geo specials that have done a much better job at covering the topic it wants to discuss than this.
Yeah, just to make it clear to people, because I'm sure most of you haven't seen this, and good, save your time, please.
Yeah.
This is, there's no aliens in this, unfortunately. And the core problem with this as a documentary, ignoring the category it's in, the problem I had that made this like just super uninteresting to me is that this is so theoretical. They don't have anything to actually show us. They just have, well, we've ran the calculations and there probably is a planet 80 bajillion miles away that is hot enough that it's 40 million Kelvin. Like, that's all it is. Maybe maybe there's more research to it. Certainly, I'm not trying to dismiss them or say that I know or whatever, but it's like, to make a documentary about it, you should choose a subject that's actually interesting. And although this might be important research, I'm not dismissing it as not. There's just not enough of a component of anything here to make a documentary out of. They actually talk about how I think it's the Hubble telescope has taken pictures of distant planets, but I don't think they actually showed any real pictures of distant planets because they probably didn't have the license to from NASA. They show like general galaxy looking things.
Yeah, they use
that
the
could have been a
Crab
shot from
Nebula
Earth
for an effect. But they don't actually acknowledge it's the Crab Nebula. They just take the picture and use it as an effect. That bothered me.
Yeah. So and from so not only are we talking about highly theoretical things, but there's no narrative to speak of, and they interview a ton of different scientists. There's not even like a protagonist to this thing, or like a scientist, right? Where we could maybe follow the life of that scientist a little, find out why he cares so much about researching these distant planets and what's to him. No, none of that. They're just dry, boring interviews where it's like, well, theoretically, we think. Oh, and Chad and I started noticing this. there are so many qualifiers under anything they say, where they never say, okay, so there's this planet and this does this. They always say, well, there might be a distant planet that may have temperatures up to 80 million degrees, and there could be life that lives on that possible planet. Like, they qualify it because there's nothing to report. It's like doing a book report without having read anything. It's like, you know, the book exists, sure, but you don't know anything about it.
Yeah. The other thing to keep in mind is that astronomy as a science is very, very, very young compared to other things like in terms of like biology or physics. Like people have been studying those subjects for well over a century and a half. Like most of astronomy in the more contemporary science, I should say, because astrology is one thing, but astronomy, a lot of what we know is very, very, very recent information. We are constantly making new discoveries because there's so much out there that we don't know. This was made over a decade ago, and so much has been uncovered since then. Like, again, the TRAPPIST-1 system I mentioned is one of the most like popular alien Earth systems out there now that we know it exists. Because there's like 7 planets all like Earth. 3 of them are within the habitable zone where water could exist. All bunch of stuff, cool stuff.
And that's actually kind of interesting.
And it is interesting because we have evidence of stuff like that. And the problem is this documentary doesn't go into explaining how we determine this stuff.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain things that we can do, especially cosmology is like the biggest thing about like determining the characteristics of stars and discovering planets and things like that. It's really interesting stuff, and they could have gotten into it, but instead they decided to spend the whole documentary going it through Fantasyland, and you know, it's like it's a bunch of nonsense because at the end of the day, given how expansive the universe is and just how many celestial bodies there are out there, it's very hard for me to believe that a planet like what they describe doesn't exist, given the sheer like just probability. It's like
that doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. They're saying nothing. It means nothing because it's like we don't have an actual example, but we're just saying, yeah, this is probably out there, and it's like, okay, it is. Whoop-de-doo. Like
publish it in your paper. Don't make a documentary out of it until you have something for people to know about.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the other thing is in terms of like imaging these bodies, with the technology we have currently, it's not really possible to get an actual like image up close. The most we can get is like pixels on a screen. And that's even with today's technology. Now, there are still new telescopes being built and sent out in space. I can't, for the life of me, remember what device it was, but I did a presentation on it about, we sent it past Pluto, and it captured the most high-definition photo of Pluto that we still have today. And like that stuff's really interesting. Like we actually have an up-close photo of the surface of Pluto and like what it actually looks like. And it's Moon Charon or Charon. I never knew how to pronounce it. That stuff's interesting. But that also didn't exist when... That also didn't exist.
Was Pluto a planet at this point?
No, I believe Pluto stopped being a planet in 2006. I think it was 2006. And Jerry hadn't liberated the Plutonians yet at this point either. So it's kind of in the middle there.
I mean, the thing is, there are ways to try to make this a little more interesting or palatable, but it basically is one of those like, hypothetically there could be aliens type documentaries, except it's not as interesting as that. You know, if this had been like there's interterrestrial dimensional blah blah blah, and they're here, and then we get some like CGI aliens doing CGI alien stuff, that would have been dumb, sure, but at least it would have been interesting. This is just not interesting. So I disqualify this personally. I disqualify it. I'm not going to rank it. I'm not going to say anything other than that. Beyond being just a boring documentary, this does not belong in this category. And disqualified.
100% does not deserve to be recognized at all.
Big Mouth has more justification to be nominated than this.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. So, and yeah, like Zoro says, Ancient Aliens is unintentionally funny. Like this wasn't. It was so boring. And the fact that it doesn't have a Wikipedia page, it doesn't have any sort of release on Disney Plus or anything else. It's so hard to find any trace of this thing online. Clearly shows that it meant nothing to anyone aside from whatever jokers over at the Emmy Awards, whatever they decided. I don't know.
I'm honestly, I am convinced. I mean, I know I shouldn't just go out and assume without actual evidence, but I'm so convinced that they were paid to put this on the nominee list. I'm
Maybe.
convinced. There's no other reason why this would even be here. Why would Emmy voters vote for this? They were paid. I'm convinced.
I, yeah, I mean,
That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
yeah, I don't know. There was
But
plenty of other stuff being made around this time that, I mean, again, like it or hate it, they could have nominated a Family Guy episode.
well,
Like,
like this documentary, it's all theoretical.
yeah. All right. But yeah, no, I think there's no possible way this got in without some sort of weird fluke happening, without some sort of I don't know. Maybe like the producer of it was like someone's kid or something. Like I don't know. There was some weird thing that I think must have happened because, or maybe just no one submitted. Maybe everyone thought that something else was so brilliant that they don't bother submitting anything this year. I have no idea. I don't know. We can move on.
All right. Then next up, we have the Ricky Gervais Show with Knob at Night.
Okay, so the Ricky Gervais Show was a podcast that they then later um took the best clips of, well, best in quotes, and animated them in the style of like a Hanna-Barbera type thing. Uh, and HBO aired it. And it's Ricky Gervais, Sumo from Clarence, and Wheatley from Portal. That's the three of them just chatting about nudists and raunchy stuff for 20 minutes with some animation. There's a lot of it where it's just them sitting in that booth, but it's at least drawings, which is more than I can say
Yep.
for the other thing.
At the very least, I would say it's eligible. It's
Yeah,
eligible.
yeah,
But, and I said
yeah.
this while we were watching it, this feels like those fan animations that people make on YouTube of like, clips of
Mm,
like other
Game Grumps or
podcasts.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Animated things of videos or whatever. That's exactly what this feels like. But this was also like, this is 2009, 2010. So like YouTube was just picking up. Because 2010 is kind of when YouTube like took off.
Right.
So,
So, yeah, basically the dynamic of the show is that Ricky Gervais and the dude on his left, the guy who plays Wheatley, um, those two kind of like bring up a news story or something, and then the guy on the right, he's kind of got this like sad sack persona where he just kind of like quietly is like, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, why did they wake up and decide to do this today? I don't know why they would have done that. And then he kind of goes on a little speech, and then inevitably he says something that is oh so hilarious to Ricky Gervais that Ricky Gervais then makes the rest of the skit be about that thing. Um, do you like Ricky Gervais, Shadow?
I've barely seen anything he's in.
Mm.
And this special has not made me like him at all. So,
The more I see him, the less I like him. Because he was on The Simpsons last week in a pretty obnoxious, just he just I don't know. They just cut to him talking to someone for like 40 seconds, and he wasn't funny.
nope.
So yeah, um, I mean, I don't know about his acting ability or if maybe it's just his persona or whatever, but just I kind of find him grating. And this episode really is just I mean, first of all, it is a podcast through and through, but secondly, it's all the same stuff over and over again. Like they talk about a nudist colony and they talk about a monkey like tearing off someone's private parts and like but it's like all that and it's basically do you enjoy like just the raunchiest 12-year-old humor like Howard
This
Stern.
is middle school stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I don't even mean to compare it to Howard Stern because as much as I don't like him, Howard Stern is like a genius that has found a market. This kind of comes off like a discount Howard Stern. Uh, and yeah, people like him in Muppets Most Wanted, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure as an actor he's fine, but whenever he's playing himself, at least,
Mm. That's
yeah,
what he comes across as. The
yeah.
only thing that I really know him for is the Golden Globes thing that he did.
Yes, yes, and even that speech is essentially him being, uh, a gruff personality, so we speak. To
Yeah.
people who probably deserve it, sure, but his whole personality or his whole stand-up shtick seems to be that he's an unlikable guy. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
Um, yeah, so it was kind of cool seeing the art style in this seem like it's something kind of out of Dexter's Lab or like Powerpuff Girls, like to be
Yeah.
honest. It wasn't Hanna-Barbera, but it's kind of done in that style, and there are definitely some like background drawings that I'm like, that 100% could have been like a Townsville Citizen.
Absolutely.
Like they got the weird proportions and thick
Yeah, I
outlines and
mean,
all
look
that
at
stuff.
Stephen Merchant's glasses. That's like a dead giveaway.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, no, I got nothing out of this at all. I mean, it was better than the other thing because it was a thing, but even still, it's just. I mean, I'm not gonna say I have the most sophisticated humor. You guys have seen what makes me laugh, and sometimes it's really dumb stuff. But and
Yeah,
and
like
I yeah,
Big
hey,
Me.
yes, big you. Um, I don't have control this week, or else I'd show you. But um, no, but it's just like when you do a show that's just nothing but raunchy humor, and it's just the same thing as like, haha, naked people are funny. It just kind of gets grating. Um. It's just weird. And there was also another weird thing where they have a dedicated segment to something called Monkey News, where they talk about like a monkey thing every week. But they also had a monkey in a previous segment, so I don't know why that wasn't Monkey News. And I don't know. I mean, like I think for what it is, if you liked this podcast, I think the animations are ch- charming enough and they do the job. You don't need something that's super fully animated if you are animating a radio show or a podcast. Um, so I think it fits for what it is, but it's like I don't like the content of the show. And again, it's like still kind of weird because although this is definitely animated, it's still weird to put something like this in the same category as a Simpsons episode and a South Park episode. And because it's not a narrative. It's basically they talk about a few news stories and they kind of make a little story around each news story, but it's I don't know, it just still feels so different. And it's just this is the problem with making animation one or just two categories
Yep.
because you can't compress. Animation can be any genre. You can't compress it into one thing. If you wanted to make a category that was just about the technicals of animation, right? That's just what is the most technically impressive thing, 2D or 3D, and you put that in a category, I think that's perfectly fine. You could have nature documentaries mixed in with
Hmm.
Ricky Gervais podcasts, mixed in with Simpsons. I think that would be fine, but that's not what this category is, as far as I understand it. Or else Bob's Burgers would not be nominated for 8 million times.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, like if they had a best technical aspect, best narrative, best uh, animated sequence, or so, just various different things. It would make far more lenient on this sort of stuff being here. But the fact that the entire medium is narrowed down to these 5 entries, and 2 of them were
yeah,
this, it's like, come on.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not fond of it. I wasn't.
I mean, we've had problems with it before, where something like The View from Halfway Down from BoJack is lumped in with other more traditional sitcom episodes, and although that episode is still BoJack is still a comedy show, that episode is definitely a drama episode that is
Hmm.
hard to compare to comedy stuff. But at least scripted stuff, at least you could make an argument of like there's still a narrative that you can critique and talk about and things like that. But when you start throwing in documentaries in the same category as podcasts and narrative cartoons, like or narrative comedy cartoons, like what is going on?
Yeah.
How is anyone supposed to like form an educated opinion, an educated comparison of any of this stuff? You can't.
Nope.
I mean, you can, but it's gonna be weird. Yeah. Do you have anything to say about this?
I mean, we pretty much covered everything there's to say about this Ricky Gervais stuff.
Well, there's politically incorrect humor in there too, but we don't need to go into that. I mean, it's
Yeah. I mean, just wait. Just wait when it comes to that. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
honestly,
So
it just
I
feels
don't
like a slot was
know.
wasted, but yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
I mean, like, yeah. I don't hate that this thing exists or whatever, but I don't think it fits very well. The animation, although it's like a cool style, I wouldn't put it in like the best of the best stuff or whatever. Yeah, let's
Uh-oh, hang on.
move on.
One sec. Pi, you there? Okay, hang on, guys. There was like a big bolt of lightning. I hope I'm still alive. There was a big bolt of lightning there.
I can hear you.
Okay. All right.
Ooh.
There was a big bolt of lightning and like a roaring thunder, and my internet just like blipped, but it sounds like I'm back now. So okay.
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't
Okay.
know. Can the audience hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You just kind of you fizzled out for a couple seconds there, but
Okay. I think I might need to host this from starting next week.
well, we
Uh,
just need to make sure we plan when there's not thunderstorms.
I don't. How about you stop living directly under Zeus himself?
Well, I don't know. This is some pretty good real estate I got
You do live in ancient Greece, right?
here. Yeah, of course.
uh,
All right.
um,
Anyways, we can move on to the next entry now.
yeah.
All right. So next up, we've got Prep and Landing, the ABC Christmas special, created by John Lasseter.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, this is something a little more in our wheelhouse, I have to say. This
Mm-hmm.
is it's a Christmas special we're watching in June, which is just kind of weird in and of itself, but it is an original, or it's probably based on a book or something, but original to TV idea about these elves who are basically they're kind of like spies. They kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Penguins of Madagascar or whatever. They're
Mm-hmm.
they're they're operatives, and they basically go to houses and get everything all ready for Santa Claus so he can just come down, lay the present down, and get out of there. The idea is that they are what enables Santa to deliver so many toys in one night. And the narrative is about the guy, this main operative who's been there for a very long time. He's sick of his job. He wants a promotion. He didn't get it, and he's bitter. He kind of messes around a little bit, and because of that, they almost miss this one kid's house. So they have to scramble to make it up. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest.
Yeah. I this is not my first time watching it. This is my
Oh.
fourth time, I think. Four, maybe. I've seen
Hmm.
this quite a few times, and I really like it. I've liked it every single time. I don't remember what year it was. I don't think I watched this like when it came out. I think it was like maybe a year or two later. It was on TV, and I just happened to be watching it. Um, but yeah, no, I really enjoy it. I think it's a very charming Christmas special, and I mean, it was successful enough to warrant sequels. So um, yeah, overall, I like the concept. I like the idea of making the whole helping Santa deliver presents more of like a spy operation type thing, where it's like you gotta prep the house, and go through all these
Right.
steps. And I think that's fun. I like a lot of like the gadgets and the different creative way they take like Christmas themed objects and turn them into different stuff. Like, I just think it's really, really fun.
Hmm.
And Yeah.
It's got Sarah Chalk in it, who plays
Oh
Beth on
yeah.
Rick and Morty. Shadow likes it when Rick and Morty people appear in other things because that's the only show he watches.
It's
Uh
yep. That's
oh,
the only
and
show.
according to the internet, your favorite guy appears in one of the sequels.
Are you
Chris
serious?
Chris Parnell. Yeah, yeah. He's
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep. We can't escape him. Yeah, no. So I agree. I thought this was really cute. I had never seen this before. It wasn't created by John Lasseter. So calm down, Shadow.
Oh,
Just
it was
produced
just
by him.
produced. Okay,
Yeah, Toonjay says it was created by Chris Williams, and I trust Toonjay.
gotcha. Okay.
Um, yep. And yeah, John Lasseter is John Lasseter, so we don't need to dwell on that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's kind of like what I wanted the Penguins TV show to be
Mm-hmm.
like. You know, it's a CG show about these operatives, and it's for kids, but it's fun. Yeah, I think the idea of it, like the core concept of the prep and the landing, is a strong enough concept that really holds it all together. The actual narrative of the guy that he does get skipped over for a promotion and then he becomes disgruntled and lets the mission slide, basically ruins it. It's fine. It's
It
a
makes
very
sense.
simple
Yeah.
narrative, but it works for such a creative idea, I think. And I love that this was 22 minutes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would have liked an hour of this, but as a 22-minute special, I can totally see why some people added this to their like rotation of Christmas specials. Like, because I remember when it was coming out, it was kind of like a big deal. Like, it was like, ooh, ABC is producing a half-hour special, like just like Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like, it's a modern classic, and I heard that and I'm like, oh, that's probably gonna be terrible. But no, I think it kind of deserves it. Now it's 10 years old, so it
Yeah.
actually is a classic.
That's crazy.
um, yeah.
Yeah, I think it works best as a short story. I agree. I think if it was shorter, there wouldn't be enough time. But if they did extend it, it would have gotten a little monotonous at points. I think in terms of its structure, it's very straight to the point. It makes sense. The character arc is very fitting for him.
Hmm.
He grows. It makes sense. And like I said, I like a lot of the whole creative ideas that they introduce.
Yeah,
Also, was the reindeer's name Thrasher? Was it Thrasher, I think?
I think so. I think
Yeah,
so.
that's the best character. Just like this hulking, buff other reindeer that no one knows about. Oh, I don't know why. That just cracks me up.
And
It's
you
good.
better keep it that way.
Yeah. I don't know
um,
why, but like that whole sequence where he first shows up to work and he's acting like he's got the promotion, going through that room talking to everyone.
mhm.
It just I go back to Monsters Inc. with like
Mm,
Mike walking through the corporation building, saying hi to everyone. You got the two like dummies that are like in awe and look up to him or whatever. And then, there's the secretary. And I don't know. That's just a parallel that I always make when I see that scene because it's very
uh,
similar in that
that's
sense.
fair.
Yeah.
Um, Ro whatever says this feels like a movie concept that didn't manage to fit a movie runtime. Yeah, it does kind of feel like something that they were going to make a CG movie, or at some planning stage, and
Hmm.
then someone decided, you know what, this is better as like a short, kind of like Bart Simpson did last week with Angry Dad the movie.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh,
Bringing it back.
um, yep. Pete of Dawn says I like Santa's characterization in this special a lot. He did have a good professional side, but not overly jolly. Yeah, I,
Hmm.
I like that they don't show Santa's face, but he's still very much a part of everything. Um, oh, apparently Flick from A Bug's Life was in this. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Santa definitely has a presence.
it's on Disney Plus.
Hmm.
So, next time in the holiday season, if you're looking for something to watch, it's definitely. I think it's charming. Like it's not groundbreaking. It's not. Well, Pete of Dawn says it pretty well. I don't see it as anything groundbreaking or amazing, but for what it is, it's a fine, charming little Christmas special. And I completely agree with that. I think it works. It knows the story it wants to tell. It's got a cool idea. Um, and that's it. It doesn't need to be stretched out with all sorts of other, romance arcs and subplots and all this other stuff. It's just like it is what it needs to be. There's a few cute jokes in there. Like I like how the main elf tries to to blackmail the head coordinator lady
Yeah.
by saying that he knows what she's been doing with Tiny, this very small elf. Um, yeah, there's some cool stuff like that in there. Um, it's very family friendly, but it doesn't feel like it's made for like 2-year-olds.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I think that might have been the impression that I got that made me not watch it when it was coming out around a decade ago, and I was just kind of like, this looks like something made for young kids, and oh yeah, right, like they're gonna be able to make something that people are gonna want to watch every year. But I can 100% see this being that sort of thing.
Hmm. I
Um,
like how Tunjay points out that Tommy was the only kid in the neighborhood. His house was the only one that was prepped. Yeah, Tommy's the only person that matters. I mean, when it gets down to
well,
it, like who else needs presents on Christmas except Tommy?
maybe the other people were Jewish. I don't know. You don't know.
I mean, that's fair.
Maybe he did live in the middle of nowhere.
Maybe,
Look,
yeah,
if
all the other houses, there just weren't kids living there. He's the only kid in that whole neighborhood.
this is like a horrible
Yeah,
post-apocalyptic
it's dystopian.
scenario, this is just one house inhabited. Oh God.
Oh man, that's messed up.
After Thanos did the snap,
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
it's Disney.
This is in the MCU.
I mean, I could see them showing up in Black Widow. They might. You
Yeah,
don't know.
who
They're
knows? They could
they're all
bring in
agents,
anyone.
and yeah.
I'm still waiting for.
Question.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, if this was attached to Princess and the Frog, like Olaf's Winter Adventure was to Coco, would people still like it as it is now or not? And that's what Zinc Channel says. People hated Olaf's Winter
They did.
Adventure and how long it was. So no, I think you could put an amazing 22-minute short before a movie you're gonna see, uh, and people would be up in arms because they took their 2-year-old expecting it to be like an hour and 10 minutes, and then it turns out to be like an hour and 40 minutes. Um, that whole thing was
Yeah.
bad for a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
especially with Coco, like there's way worse implications there that Disney
oh,
outright admitted. But anyways,
oof.
um, yeah, no, I think when it comes to shorts in front of movies, it should be like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at most. But like, I don't know. I think this definitely worked better as a TV special. I don't know
Yep.
what its ratings were, but again, it was successful enough to warrant a sequel
I think it
special.
did
So.
decent. Someone was saying that one of the sequels is only 7 minutes long, but
Oh, okay.
I'm really surprised they didn't milk it for like a whole series or
Yeah.
like one every year. But I think the fact that it isn't too many shorts really helps sell the vibe that it is like a special to be watched every year, not like this is a part of a big franchise. And if you watch the first one, you might want to see the second one, and like, um, yeah. So
Hmm.
cool, cool.
Alrighty.
Oh, apparently, hang on. According to Wikipedia, Prep and Landing includes a number of references and in-jokes left by the animators. Many pay homage to other Christmas specials and tradition. For example, Maggie's office has the Christmas tree from A Charlie Brown Christmas. Maggie's coffee mug, or sorry, McGee's coffee mug from H Dentistry is a nod to Hermie the Elf from the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special. Ah,
There you go.
cute. Oh yeah, and then there's the brief cameo of the Christmas Carol, the Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Hmm.
That was cute. Yeah. All right, we can move on.
All right. So we got our mandatory holiday special out of the way. Now we can go on to South Park. Image not found. That is not. It's
Boy.
not an error. Don't worry, guys. My computer's not broken. That is a purposeful image because these episodes were banned. Episode 200 and 201.
Oh, you didn't actually find it? Oh.
No, remember
Alright.
last week?
No, I remember last week. I just
Okay.
didn't think it would be funny the second time.
Well,
But
I
that's
never got
okay,
around to
Shadow.
changing it.
Anyway, okay. So I mean,
Choose your words carefully.
do we start with the meta narrative? The thing is the meta narrative, the story of these episodes is intertwined into the episodes themselves. So, all right, here we go. South Park 200 and 201 are two episodes, specifically the 200 and 201st episodes, designed to be big celebrations of South Park and everything that it is. It features many, many, many cameos from basically every celebrity that South Park has made fun of over the years. It also features a follow-up to a very early storyline in which it's revealed who Cartman's true father is. But the main storyline is that the celebrities all get together to sue South Park, and South Park doesn't want that. So the celebrities make an agreement that if the town of South Park produces the prophet of Islam faith, then they won't sue South Park. But the problem is you can't show them on TV because then you'll get threatened by terrorist groups. And the whole thing ends with a speech about how terrorism gets you what you want, and that speech itself was then censored in the episode.
Yep.
Yeah, I
very risque. Very risque.
Yeah, let's talk about the celebration aspect of this. Now, obviously, Shadow, you have no idea. This is probably means absolutely nothing to you. Yep. But seeing all of the celebrities that South Park has mocked, just kind of like walking around in the background, I don't know. It's like fun. It's there's so many characters and cameos, references to episodes, and also the Cartman storyline is great. It's a reference to a Batman comic, I believe, The Killing Joke. But Cartman's storyline is great and doesn't really have as much controversy behind it. But the unfortunate thing is, excuse me, South Park, Cartman's true father, can never be referenced again because these episodes were banned. They won't acknowledge that plot point. So it's this really cool reveal that ties in probably one of the most iconic episodes of South Park with a very early two-parter they did, but they can never reference it again because these episodes are you can't find them. The only legal release they had was on the DVDs and Blu-rays in some regions. In other regions, these episodes were omitted. So, yeah. So as far as Cartman's storyline, I thought that was good. I'm sure it was incoherent garbage to you, though.
Yeah, I won't lie. I was a little lost on what was exactly going on there. I mean, okay, so my first question is, because I kind of get the whole idea, because they made remarks that I assumed were references to past episodes.
Yes.
With him, I guess his father being unknown or whatever.
Yeah. It was told that his mother was also his father, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that's not true.
So my first question is the whole like talking hand thing. Is that a reference? Like, was that brought up in previous episodes?
Oh, you mean Miss Lopez?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
okay.
A previous episode where Cartman's hand is a guy pretending to be Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, that was completely lost on me.
Yeah, but it's also ambiguous as if Cartman is just making this whole thing up anyway. In the realm of South Park, it's unclear as to whether Cartman's hand is actually possessed by the spirit of Jennifer, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I getcha. Yeah, I was completely lost on that. So I was just like, okay, I guess this is happening.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think in that aspect, this was cool to watch for fans, but yeah, I kind of think that the main, or that storyline especially, and a lot of the celebrity references are just completely lost on anyone watching this show for the first time. But that's not why this was nominated. Yeah. That's not.
Well, see, the number one thing that I kind of like, I understood was, because this came out again, 2009, 2010, that time,
yes.
Gingers. That part,
yeah. That's another episode. That's another episode.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I thought that was a reference to the whole Gingers Have Souls thing that was like big on YouTube at that time.
The other episode I think might have been a reference to the ginger
Okay.
kid.
All right, that
Or
makes
no, 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 no,
sense.
no, 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 no. You have it. Actually, that's backwards, Shadow. That ginger kid in that YouTube video was upset because of South Park. South Park made an episode
Oh.
implying that
Okay.
I'm pretty sure implying that ginger kids have no souls. And then a bunch of dumb, edgy kids and teenagers and adults on the internet and in real life teased a bunch of kids for just the color of their hair, and that's what led to that. I believe,
Well, that
unless there's
happened.
some.
It happened in my middle school, so yeah, that did happen for
Yep,
real.
and that sucks. That's that's not right.
No,
But
it's not. But
um, all right. So here, something important to know about these episodes is that it's a two-parter, but these were not released at the same time. And South Park works on like a basically a week cycle where they make the entire episode in a week. And what that means is episode 200 aired, and then there was a response, and then 201 happened that kind of weaved a little bit of reality into that response, and the episode got censored. So here's the story. And again, I'm not I don't know anything. Yeah, I don't know. What do I want to say here? That I'm not making any statement on anything here. I'm just relaying the story. So basically, episode 200 happened, and there was a newspaper. Let's see. The Revolution Muslim, who posted an article saying that the creators um are very likely to face violent retribution for their depictions of Muhammad, saying that they will probably wind up like a journalist who or an artist who was killed because they aired that show. And then they also proceed to show the Comedy Central headquarters in New York and in LA. They posted in their article, and essentially this was a threat. They tried to kind of backpedal it by saying, well, we're not threatening you, we're just saying that there are extremists who will hurt you if you do this. But it was a threat. It was basically a threat. And what happened was Comedy Central got scared. They heard the threat, they were worried about their employees and everyone. And so Comedy Central took the episode that the creators of South Park made and censored it themselves. This is basically the only time in the show's history where censorship where like an outside party was actually came in and edited their content and said no. Um at least in this major way. And basically what happened was it meant that the end of the episode, the characters basically say that terrorism works because again, according to South Park's point of view, it does. According to their point of view, people threatened them, and because of that, Comedy Central got scared. And then Comedy Central censored that speech about that. It's a really bizarre situation, and unfortunately, I mean, like the episode itself, that whatever content with Cartman and all this, the celebrities and all this stuff, the big celebration of the show will always be overshadowed by the fact that there were terroristic threats on the people that made this show and the company, followed by censorship. And there's a big debate that you could have, but the long and short of it is, basically, Comedy Central gave in to threats. And you could say, well, they gave in to threats because no matter how much, South Park means to people, it's not worth anyone losing their life. Especially not random people who work at Comedy Central buildings that have nothing at all to do with South Park. You could say that, or you could say, well, they did let the terrorists win. If you are silenced because of threats of violence, that is effectively what the terrorist goals are. I
yeah.
looked away from the chat during all this. I
No,
didn't
you're
want to.
fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. Most of us are just listening. Cause yeah, that's Dang.
I, I don't think there's an easy answer necessarily, um, because I do get it, but it's and then the fallout of was basically Matt and Trey pulled episode 201 because they were not happy with Comedy Central censoring them behind their back. And they put up a big thing on their website saying, "We'll give you this you know, we'll when we are allowed to present a version of this episode we are proud of, you know, it will be back up." But it never came back up. It wasn't aired on neither episode after a certain point was re-aired on the airwaves. Um they're not available to watch on HBO Max.
No.
And even the DVD and Blu-ray, they're still censored in terms of Kyle and Stan and Jesus' speech at the end of the episode. Uh, yeah, and I have to, I guess I have to applaud. Oh well, and I mean to talk about the whole reason any of this is happening is essentially South Park lives by this motto. The people behind it, they live by this idea that no one is above mockery. That no matter what religion, what belief system, what organization you are, they will mock you. And they feel that this is acceptable because if everyone can be made fun of, they're not targeting anyone in particular.
Right.
Right? If you make fun of one religion specifically over and over and over again, you're essentially targeting that religion. If you're critical of all religions or of many religions or whatever, then that's just so to speak fair play. And again, I'm not saying that this is necessarily the right or the wrong way to think about anything, but that's basically what they believed. And so the reason why the episode is about showing Muhammad or not showing Muhammad, because that's a plot point in the episode, is that they are afraid to show him, is because they have brutally made fun of Mormons and Christians and atheists and agnostics and like everything under the sun. And for them to say we can't do this one because you guys tell us this one's sacred to us, it does present a double standard.
Mm-hmm. Right.
The kicker that I want to say to all of this is that there was an episode pretty early on in South Park's run. It's referenced in this one called the Super Best Friends, and it involves all these religious figures like Jesus and Buddha and whatever, um, teaming up, and one of them is Muhammad. And Muhammad not only appears in that episode, but a clip from that episode appeared in the theme song for like 10 seasons.
Oh.
No one said anything. No one said anything. Then there was an episode called Cartoon Wars, where in South Park, Family Guy is going to show Muhammad, and there's this big debate over whether or not they're allowed to show him on the show. And like Cartman teams up with Bart Simpson. It's a weird episode. It's a weird two-parter. And then after all of that, after two, no one said anything for a while, and then after this whole debacle, Cartoon Wars, Super Best Friends, and 200 and 201 are now the 5 episodes that are not they're considered the banned episodes of South Park, and it seems like enough time has passed that the creators have moved on. They don't have any interest in re-editing or coming up with a solution or whatever. If you want to see the uncensored speech, it is online. I think linked it in our Discord. But yeah, so this very real world thing completely overshadows any content in the episodes, and the episodes are still kind of about the real world thing. So any discussion of it has to bring this all up. I don't want to be talking about terrorism. I don't want to be talking about these religions and I don't want to catch any flack or make any statements. But yeah, it's just kind of necessary to discuss this, and I don't think it would have been right if we had ignored it.
Right. I mean, that's essentially what it. Just based on what you just described, that's what these episodes basically represent now. It's like they've gained new meaning through the whole debacle that occurred. So,
and since they're banned, not just like a little censored, they're completely banned. Effectively, the terrorists won, or the threats won. And again, it's tough because I mean, you guys know me. I generally argue for unbanning and putting disclaimers and giving context and not shielding people from the harsh reality of this episode existed. But at the same time, it's a lot easier for me to say that sitting here than it is to be someone who is actually facing a death threat. Not just from someone anonymous online, but from an actual group of people. Um, that's scary and that's real. And in the situation, if I was the head of Comedy Central, I don't know what I would have done. I genuinely probably would have protected my people over anything else because as much as free speech is important, um, you know, having your employees killed over this is
At,
unimaginable.
at the end of the day, like, just based on the situation as you just described it, I completely would side with Comedy Central and what they did. That would have been the best course of action. As unfortunate as it is, like, on principle, in an ideal world, like, yes, everyone has a voice and censorship is a no-go. But like when it comes down to it, the way reality is, it's much better to just censor the episode, take it down, and keep people's lives, safer than even consider taking that risk. And if the creators of South Park got upset over it, like, that's their prerogative, I guess, but like, I think people's lives are more important than, an episode of a TV show. So,
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I think it could be argued that their point was made. The
oh,
fact that they got
absolutely.
threatened, the fact that they got threatened over this is it is in and of itself criticism of these extremists. You know what I mean? Like the fact that the story exists at all certainly doesn't paint a good light on that newspaper or anyone that they claim to represent. So, um,
Yeah, absolutely.
and yeah, and the thing about it too is that South Park is not a hard-hitting documentary about the dark realities of any sort of group or whatever. It exists to make fun of things and it can have an important cultural impact, but um I I get it. I get it so much why Comedy Central did what they did. Although I honestly maybe it's in the way they did it too because maybe they should have just gone to Matt and Trey and just said, "You listen, just don't finish this episode. Do an
Yeah.
entirely different episode." Because it from the sounds of it, it sounds like they let them make the episode and then at the last minute bleeped a part of it which reflects poorly on the creators of the show like
Yeah.
and not to mention the fact that a censorship box is a part of the episode itself, thus making the whole thing really confusing if it was intentional or not.
Mhm.
Um so yeah, maybe it comes down to the way that it was done, that I understand if I was Matt or Trey why I'd be mad,
Yeah.
but yeah, at the end of the day, it's a very difficult situation and unfortunate. I think there are some good things in this episode, especially for South Park fans. But getting back to the actual Emmy part of it, I do kind of think that controversy aside, this is a terrible thing to nominate because it's so insular to South Park. It's so much about references upon references upon references. And I'm sure that the Emmy voters loved this because it was their way to make some sort of stand without actually having to stand up and do anything.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't. If you're unfamiliar with South Park, I think this is just a terrible thing. And even if you are familiar with South Park, it does read a lot more as just kind of like a love letter to the show than like some sort of beautiful narrative thing. I
Yeah.
think that I think that what it's trying to say about censorship, terrorism, all that sort of stuff, I think is interesting and important. And I think that for that reason, I get why it's nominated, but this whole thing is just very complicated and weird. And again, it's like, how am I supposed to compare this to a Ricky Gervais podcast or even a kids a family Christmas special? It's just weird. It's just weird. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. I think there's 100% a place for specials like this that exist to appeal specifically to its audience. And, based on everything I saw, like, I totally see that that's what it's doing.
Yeah.
There are other shows I've watched that have been made for the audience that I'm a part of, and I absolutely love them. They're great. But I understand that from an outsider's perspective, a lot of it is just a confusing web of randomness, and that's what it came across to for me. Like I said, the whole hand talking thing was lost on me. I didn't realize that all of those celebrities were like popular, I guess, punching
we're all
bags of the
targets.
show.
Yeah.
I just thought it was, oh, we're just putting a bunch of, celebrities
No.
together. I didn't realize that. I mean, I got the whole Super Friends parody, but I didn't realize
Right.
that was from a previous episode. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that was
Everything
recurring.
in this episode is everything. Even the
Yeah.
whole Muhammad discussion. Again, that was done in Cartoon Wars. So like, yeah, works as a love letter to the fans. Has some interesting things to say. But is it also somewhat an incoherent ball of who knows what it's really about? Kinda. And even as someone who I've seen all of South Park, but I haven't seen a lot of it lately, I was struggling to remember who some of these celebrities were. Um,
Mhm.
so,
Yeah.
all right. Yeah, we're gonna have a fun time ranking these. We can move on.
Okay. Well, last but certainly not least, The Simpsons with Once Upon a Time in Springfield.
All right. So, this episode is about Krusty. His show gets a like Disney princess-esque host that steals his thunder and appeals to girls. And then that plot line is discarded because Krusty falls in love with her because she's been a fan of his since she was a little girl, which is creepy. And then they are about to get married, and then they don't, and then they wind up together in the end because Krusty came back for her. This was this was dumb.
Yeah.
This was
And
dumb. Oh hey, real Jims. This was dumb. In a year of weird dumb choices. For a Simpsons episode, this is a weird dumb choice. I have nothing positive to say about this episode.
this was a 20th anniversary special, wasn't it? Because there was like that
Uh,
thank you for 20
uh,
years thing.
I guess. I don't think it's a special. I think they were just acknowledging it at the end.
Okay.
But this is
That's
like the 18th time that Krusty gets canceled. Like it's
okay.
it's happened every other year for the past 30 years, so I don't care about that anymore. The fact that she was a fan of his for a very, very, very
It's
long
creepy.
time is creepy. Even if it's what she wants is to marry Krusty, it's weird, and she doesn't come off as much of a character as much as just kind of like a crazy person,
Mm-hmm.
um, who just inexplicably loves Krusty, even though Krusty is a fun character, but he's an absolute dirtbag. He is an absolute dirtbag. Um, I don't get this. I really don't. The whole Krusty show getting taken over and making it like a girls show or whatever. That's another thing that they would go on to kind of like do again with a female reboot episode. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but like as far as this goes, they don't really have anything to say
No.
or whatever about like traditionally male spaces opening up for more females. It
Mm-hmm.
really is just like the show's for girls now.
Yeah,
Let's have a singing. Yeah.
that was my biggest problem with this episode was like it it's not it doesn't have anything to say, and it's playing it so straight to the point that it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. Like, let's just girl it up. And it's like there's nothing profound here. There's nothing interesting. It's just we're introducing a princess, and then we're gonna throw in unicorns and whatever, confetti and stuff like that. You know, I mean, again, it's been 10 years since this came out, so like times have changed quite a lot in that decade. Um,
Yeah.
so
Uh,
maybe we were this regressive back then. I don't know, but I was not impressed with the writing here. Again,
no.
the relationship aspect was nothing but creepy, like
Yeah.
100%. I'm like, ugh, this is
And
not
and the
good.
fact that at their wedding, Krusty realizes, hey, this is like not okay. Like I don't know this person,
Mm-hmm.
and like this is I'm kind of a bad influence. Like, and then the episode still ends with them getting together.
Yeah. He's
Like
like, I don't
what
care.
is
I
this?
just want to be happy. It's like, okay.
Yeah. The real Jim says he wished they nominated the curling episode to hear, just to hear us discuss the Olympic curling. uh, I mean, come on, there's got to be a better episode in this season than
I
this. This
I
is
believe
is
it.
dumb. This was dumb.
And like
I can't.
it never goes anywhere. Like
No.
the whole idea here is like the show's being, changed and ruined, and then nothing happens. It's just
Yeah.
dropped. Like
Oh
what
yeah. That.
Bart and
Yeah.
Milhouse's whole plot, like it just stops. It just doesn't go anywhere. You know?
Right. If the show is ruined because Krusty is now marrying this girl and his show becomes this weird sing along love fest, that's not resolved in
Mm-mm.
any way. Bart
Mm-mm.
doesn't learn to like it. It's not like they may get married, but Krusty still takes over the show, or she gets her own. No, nothing. It just becomes this weird love story for a character who I don't really want to see a love story for. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a subplot. I just remembered. I watched this episode like 2 hours ago. I just remembered there's a subplot. The subplot is there is no more donuts for Homer, Lenny, or
Oh
Carl
yeah, I
at the
completely
power
forgot
plant.
that even happened.
And so they go to like this other power plant where they have donuts and it's great. And then Burns lures them back with like super donuts. I don't know. I don't know what the point. Like, it's like the writers were sitting around and we're like, well, what can we do with Homer? He likes donuts. It's like what?
Yeah, that was a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you mentioned, oh yeah, there was a subplot, and I was like, there was? What? I don't even remember. I barely even remember any of the scenes. The only thing I recall is them getting massages and the dude like shoving donuts through the face hole of the thing that they're
Yeah.
laying on. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I did not like this episode. I was not impressed by anything animation wise. It was just standard. Like it didn't do anything spectacular.
There
And
there was a few jokes I liked. I don't remember them, but I recall chuckling at least once. I like the joke with all the Krusty standees, and they put Krusty in the dumpster. Like I don't know that is,
mhm.
but the fact that I can't remember a lot of the jokes should really tell a lot. Um, yeah, if anything, I mean, The Simpsons was poised to win it this year because they could have come in with a pretty standard run-of-the-mill episode that wasn't annoying or obnoxious or stupid, and they would have probably won this easily, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Just by fact of being something a little more familiar and um, yeah,
Yeah.
I,
This was a not like for animation, but for the Emmy nominees. This was a terrible year. It was great because
yeah,
it's diverse. Like it's not like just the same boring standard schlock, but in terms of like the actual quality of everything, it's like wow, this was bad.
yeah.
This was
So
a train wreck.
are we done? We're done talking about The Simpsons.
Yeah, I've got nothing more to
Okay.
add. Like that
All
was
right.
pretty much it.
Completely fine. So then again, I'd like to remind everyone to vote for your favorite down in the description.
Yep.
Uh, um, so let's say, how would you rank these episodes, Shadow?
Hmm. All right. Well, I have a definitive winner.
Okay.
Um, at the bottom is Alien Earths, 100%. Like, no, don't. You're right. We aren't even ranking that.
I
Not
disqualified
even
it.
ranking
Yeah,
it.
I'm
Not even
I'm
there.
not putting it.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
that is negative
Thank you.
infinity. Okay, get out. Not even acknowledging it anymore. At the bottom, I put Ricky Gervais Show. Then I'll put Simpsons third, South Park second, Prep and Landing is the winner.
Okay, interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I disqualify Alien Earths. Doesn't count. Sorry. You didn't animate enough. Um, yeah, I'd put Ricky Gervais show at the bottom just because it was a lot of the same raunchy stuff. Like I don't know. I'm not the audience for it, and it's just weird. And then so what do we got? The Simpsons, South Park, and Prep and Landing.
Yep.
Um, I think The Simpsons would come in third of fourth of four. It wasn't good. It was better than the Ricky Gervais show. Like I said, there was a few things that I did laugh at, even if I can't really remember them. Um, and I was just happy to have like a straightforward narrative in one of these. Uh, um, and then okay, so then we have South Park and Prep and Landing, and all right, South Park second, Prep and Landing one. I think South Park maybe had the chance to take it and be really meaningful, but unfortunately, kind of due to the whole situation, it makes whatever point they were trying to say or make just really muddled and confusing. And it's not Matt and Trey's fault, but it's just I don't know, And then when you combine that with the fact that from an outsider, as a lot of the Emmy voters would be outsiders, this is just a whole lot of nothing. I don't know why you would have picked this other than the meaningful stuff. And again, the meaningful stuff got censored out. So I kind of wonder if the Emmy voters got to if what version of this episode they were sent. And also, can I just say, isn't it a little bit, I guess, like antithetical to everything if so they Comedy Central like edited the episode, and then Matt and Trey pulled the episode and said we don't want this, like we don't agree with this, and then someone sent it in as a nominee. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what happened there? Did Comedy Central say, well, let's let the heat die off for a little bit, and then let's try to get an award for how brave we were, even though they weren't necessarily brave enough? Like, did Matt and Trey send this because they still stand by it, even despite all this other stuff? Right? Like, isn't it weird to submit an episode that was basically censored and taken down because of terrorism?
That by itself
Why submit it?
that by itself is an interesting enough subject that
What?
there
Yeah,
could be a whole discussion about that, because it's like it does make you wonder who submitted this, how did it get approved, and
yeah,
the other thing is when they were sent this, were they sent the censored version
yeah.
or
I don't
not?
know.
Because what if they judged it without the whole censorship? What if there were people who watched this and didn't have a clue about the actual context behind it and just watched it for what it is? That could have influenced their decision on possibly, voting for it.
I
There's a
guess.
whole lot of interesting stuff here. Because you
Uh,
even said it yourself. Without that whole outside real life context, you said it's likely it probably could have won your vote.
yeah, yeah. It might have. I mean, but so yeah. Long story short, Prep and Landing would be number one for me. I think it is satisfying in what it is. I think the animation is completely fine. No, I have no problems with it. There wasn't anything about it that I thought was like, wow, this is really cool looking. I thought it was a fun concept, and in a year full of just weird picks, this was the one thing that I felt like really just was in the spirit of the award show, like, or the season.
Mm-hmm.
um.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
what won this year?
Coincidentally enough, Prep and Landing won it. So there you go.
Yay.
Yeah, I can
Cool.
see why.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Could you just imagine if you're an Emmy voter and you just get sent this stuff? And you haven't been paying attention. I mean, if I didn't explain the whole backstory with South Park, like if I didn't tell you that, yeah, this is bleeped by Comedy Central and here's the uncensored like if I didn't tell you any of that and I just sent you these episodes, well, like it would just be incomprehensible, I think,
hmm
between all the South Park references and the real world things affecting it. It's just like what, um, so. All right, shall we see what our fans have said about this?
Do we want to
Or
mention the episodes we would?
yeah, you know what? Let's do the show correctly. That's a good idea.
Okay.
All right. So if you looked at the Emmys, you would think, wow, man, there must have been nothing going on in animation around this time. But the thing is that that's just wrong. That's just not true. I don't know what happened here, but there was some good stuff going on at the time. Ben 10 Alien Force was airing its third season. Controversial season, I know, but there's some good episodes in there, certainly. Um, I know Clone Wars was airing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen it, so I don't have anything to nominate, but I know it's a show that some people like. Toon J, thank you for the super chat. He would nominate Chill of the Night from Batman the Brave and the Bold, the episode where Bruce Wayne confronts the man who murdered his parents. Ooh,
There
interesting.
you go.
Oh, and people are saying My Little Pony existed at that time. You know, one of the now the biggest cartoons of all time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like,
Yep.
so, but aside from all of that, I would like to point out that within the eligibility window, Ed, Edd n Eddy's Big Picture Show aired
Mm.
November 2009.
There you
So,
go.
yeah, Ed, Edd n Eddy's Big Picture Show, beautiful animation, a really ambitious story. You know, utterly like shatters the world of the show. And even if you're not someone who's a big fan of Ed, Edd n Eddy or whatever, I still think you could come into this and kind of enjoy it for what it is. Yes, it's a big love letter finale for the show, but I don't think that it is as insular as some of this other stuff. I think it's ambitious. I think it's big. I think it's beautiful. And let's make something happy come out of the fact that it was delayed for like a year and a half after it was finished for unknown reasons, because now it meant that it was aired within this time period.
Yeah, that's actually a really solid pick. Dang.
Oh yeah.
All right, I cannot disagree with that. Um, honestly, that should have just won it all. So yeah, I decided to take Pie's advice because it's just kind of a last minute thing for me. But I'm gonna go with a Clone Wars episode from season 2. Specifically, the Mandalore plot is the episode I'm going with. There's
Oh boy.
actually there's quite a bit of good episodes in season 2. The reason I like the Mandalore plot specifically is because it's this episode that follows Obi-Wan as he protects the Duchess of Mandalore from a terrorist organization, completely coincidental, I promise.
Oh God.
Called Death Watch, and it introduces this entirely separate faction of Mandalorians are
Ooh.
called the Death Watch, and they operate on their own terms, separate from the planet of Mandalore and their government system, which I find is really interesting. There's cool fighting sequences. I think in terms of the world building, especially for people now that the Mandalorian is out, Clone Wars has a lot of expanded information on the whole planet of Mandalore, the history of Mandalorians, their race, and everything like that. That is really interesting. And I think it's a solid episode just in terms of the story that it tells. So, like I said, I think there's plenty of episodes that you could pick from this season, honestly. What? Let me see. What is it? It's the Zillo Beast. Two-parters is really good as well, but I would personally pick the Mandalore plot as my nomination. So.
Okay. I just wanted to dispel something that this keeps popping up. Guys, the primetime Emmys is not for things that air in primetime. It's the Emmys that airs in primetime. The daytime Emmys, they're a separate Emmy situation that's more for behind the scenes people working in like daytime television. I don't think it has to specifically air. Like I think if it aired in the middle of the day, I think it would still be qualified. But
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. I don't
unless
think.
did Elena and the Secret of Avalor air during prime time? Well,
I think
okay,
it did
that's
actually,
well,
but
okay, because like Netflix then with Netflix nominees,
yeah, that's
I would
true.
make
If
that
the time,
counterpoint.
right? Yeah, I don't know.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't
That's
think
something
it.
worth
I don't
looking
think it
into, I
does.
guess.
I've tried looking into it, and I don't believe that's the case. But most stuff airs prime time anyway.
Right.
Thank you, Ro whatever. I was actually, if I didn't do a big picture show, I would have gone with Con of Wrath from Ben 10 Alien Force. Either that, or maybe the episode with like the red and the blue aliens that fight. Um,
Okay.
yeah. So let's see what our fans picked.
Alrighty.
Um, but yeah, all that to just say, while I'm pulling it up here, that like there were other shows that were running at this time that very well could have been nominated instead of the weird National Geographic's thing or even the Ricky Gervais thing. Um,
Yeah, they could have picked
Very
something from
strange.
CN Real.
Oh my God, no, they couldn't have. Well, I don't know.
Out of Jimmy's head
Anything's
hasn't
classified
happened
as
yet.
animated. Anything's classified as animated, isn't it?
Apparently, yeah.
Um, anything's animated if you think about it hard enough. Okay. Oh, no. I accidentally entered Google's support. I don't want to do that. All right. So we had 370 votes. And at dead last is Alien Earths with 4% of the votes.
That's
Coming up
too
from
much.
that,
That's too high.
yeah,
I'm
I
disappointed
agree. I
in
think
all of you.
I think
voted
people
for
did that to troll us.
Yeah, probably.
Next, or maybe they thought it was like the guy that's like aliens from the
Yeah, probably.
like Discovery Channel or whatever.
Yeah, that's ancient aliens. That's different.
Oh, okay. At 7%, number 4 is the Ricky Gervais Show. Up from that with an 11%, it's Prep and Landing. Up from that, it's Once Upon a Time in Springfield with 14% coming in second. And the winner is South Park 200 and 201. Interesting. I am shocked that Prep and Landing got so low.
That is surprising. I was expecting it to be Prep and Landing, actually. So that's...
I don't understand how the Simpsons beat it unless you guys are just voting based on Simpsons. Weird.
Or no one watched Prep and Landing, but it's good. Yeah. If you haven't watched it, go watch it during next Christmas. Because it'd be weird to watch it now, I guess. But it's
watch
good.
it now.
Okay,
be like
watch
us.
it now, yeah. Hey, be Christmas in July. You could do Christmas in July. It's almost July.
There you go.
So.
Yeah. All right. Well, Shadow, that closes out the decade.
Yeah. How about that?
Big stuff.
Oh no, we're moving into the 2000s now.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a lot more kids shows.
And a lot more. I mean, I don't know if the nominees will ever get this crazy again, but there's definitely a lot more diversity and interesting stuff coming up. So we're not stuck talking about the same Bob's Burgers thing every single time.
Yeah.
So with that, you want to go ahead and I'll go ahead and announce the nominees for the 2009 Primetime Emmys.
Sure, I'll go ahead and let you do that.
All right, thank you. I'm glad I have your permission. All right, so 2009 is interesting because there were actually only 4 nominees this year instead of the usual 5.
Ooh.
So, just wanted to point that out. So first up, we've got American Dad with 1,600 Candles.
Think Stan will die in that one?
You know what? I hope.
Stan's dead!
After that, we've got South Park with Margaritaville.
Ooh.
Followed by Robot Chicken, Star Wars Episode 2. Another Star Wars Robot Chicken special. And last but not least, believe it or not, this is real. It's The Simpsons with Gone Maggie Gone.
Wow. Simpsons episode got nominated. So.
Wait, why'd you send me a screenshot from Shrek?
Me?
Yeah, that was a Shrek. Never mind. Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's the scene where Shrek runs in and yells, "I object." Never mind.
All right.
That joke was
I didn't
lost on
send
you.
Shadow. I didn't send him anything. I don't know if he's
Chat,
having a
back
moment
me up here. Back me up here, chat. You know what I'm referencing.
All right. There'll be a new poll in the description. Has Shadow Streak lost his mind?
No. The reboot has ruined me.
Yes. So we have an important question. What about the more than 1 hour nominations? So basically, in the aughts, there is this weird side category where it's 1 hour or more. And some years there's 2, some years there's 3. I think a few years there's none. You guys will just have to wait and see what we decide to do with that. But we're not going to do it in the same one as just the regular episodes. That's too many. If we watch that many episodes, especially long stuff too, we're not going to remember everything. That's a lot to ask us to watch and then talk about in 1 week. So no idea.
Yeah, it gives us a disadvantage, especially with the long form content, because with longer form content, usually there's more to talk about. So if we were to compress that into such a small section along with the rest of the regular nominees, it just doesn't seem the most feasible. So yeah, just hold tight on that one, and we'll get back to you with that.
All right then. Well, thank you guys for joining us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And thank you, chat, for some of you actually getting my Shrek reference. I'm not crazy.
All right.
That's the note we're ending on. Yeah.
Well,
right.
yeah. Here's where I would like shrink Shadow to be like an inch tall if I had controls.
Well, luckily, you don't, but I do. And you know what? Just for that, I'm gonna step on you.
Oh, is Shadow doing a thing?
I'm doing a thing.
Shadow doing a thing? Oh man,
wait,
Shadow's doing a thing.
I need to flip the layers here. There we go.
I don't know if terrorism works, but
Boom.
bullying sure does.
I did it. He's gone, everyone. It's just me now.
All right, bye guys. PIEGUYRULZ out.
See you guys next week.